Hi, my name is Richard Dix, and this is How Did That Happen? A podcast where I look at everyday things or events and try to figure out how they came to be. Every week I will research one topic, and by the end of the episode, I hope to truly have the answer to the question, how did that happen? This week, we look at pillows. From your bed, to road trips, to funeral homes. Pillows are a part of society, but where do they come from? I look into that and find that humans have been using pillows for millennia. Join me as I travel back in time to find out why people needed pillows in the first place. Welcome to How Did That Happen? The first recorded use of pillows was around 7000 BC in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. They were only used by the wealthy, and the pictures don't make them look comfortable. The Egyptians and the Chinese also had uncomfortable pillows. They like to use stone, wood, porcelain, even leather in some cases. The Chinese were said to have had the capability to make soft pillows, but they believed that soft pillows rob the body of strength and vitality, so they chose to sleep on hard pillows. And wasn't really sure, and couldn't really find if the Egyptians had access to soft pillows, but they definitely had hard pillows, that is for sure. And those pillows, you can't even really call them, it's better to really call them headrests than to call them pillows. But I'll probably post some pictures of that on the Twitter account. But I think that the Chinese stuff is crazy when you think about it, that they had it and then you just wouldn't use it. Like, life back then was already hard enough. Why make it any harder? But moving on, there were a number of reasons early humans decided to use pillows, such as trying to keep bugs out of their ears. And like we were talking about with the Egyptians earlier, I hadn't mentioned, but the Egyptians thought of the spiritual center of their bodies as being at their head, and that was the whole reason that they had those pillows. The Egyptians also thought that the pillows would protect the sleeper magically at night. They didn't really go into too much more depth about that. I saw that in a couple places, but that's all they really said. The Romans and the Greeks are responsible for softening the pillow into what we know today. They stuffed them with feathers and straw, and the rich Romans had the nicest ones, but everyone in the Roman kingdom had the right and ability to have a pillow of some sort, which, like I said, is a little bit different than the Chinese, who were like, it's hard pillows or nothing out here. They also put pillows under their deceased, like the Egyptians did. National Geographic has an article about the oldest burial site in Africa, which is 78,000 years old, and the deceased head, what's under the head of the deceased child, is a bed of leaves. And I thought that was interesting. They don't make the connection to pillows. I just had read that and thought that was, they were talking about some other stuff in there. But 80,000 years ago, even, they chose to put something under, a dead person's head. It shows that people even back then were already thinking of pillows, and it probably just shows that we don't have any real proof of their pillows because their pillows were leaves. They've already, been disintegrated. So the real history of pillows probably goes back even further than what we really even have right now. The connection they do make in that article is that the people at that time, the way they buried them, I guess they looked as if they had already kind of believed in an afterlife, which was pretty interesting for 80,000 years ago. But moving on to more modern times, in the 15th century, it was common for the wealthy to have a pillow on their bed. They would cover it with what was called a head sheet. This gave way to pillowcases pretty soon, but they were originally called pillow bearers, like a pillow bearer, like the case is bearing a pillow, because they took stuff way too far with the words back then. The first pillowcases were very ornate. They were very ornate pieces that were usually hand stitched by the women of the house, and sometimes had a number stitched on them to keep track of where they were, of the set they were in like the linen, which I thought was, I guess maybe that's like a level of refinement I've not reached yet. It just seems weird. I don't know. Until around the mid-1800s, the preferred sleeping position resembled more of a sitting position than a laying one. The beds during those times usually employed the use of a cloth bolster filled with down, and all that is like the long cylindrical pillow basically, and they would put that at the head of their beds and then put the pillows on top of that, and so you're basically leaning against that, and they also said that this was a good sleeping position for geishas, obviously, with their hairdos and stuff. But like during that time, it was considered to be the good sleeping position. That was the healthy sleeping position, was to basically be sitting upright almost. I thought that was an interesting overcorrection. If you look at humans overall, they come from sleeping on the ground all the way to basically sleeping sitting up, and then go back a little bit to kind of just using a pillow. It's pretty, if you look at like just the evolution of like human sleeping, I think that's kind of interesting. When cotton began to truly saturate the market around 1840 is when we begin to see the traditional pillowcases that we know today. The filling in the pillows began to change as well with the invention of synthetic materials that were just as good as the down and the feathers and stuff like that, but with limited allergens. Because I guess, some people were allergic to the down, which of course, they were originally pillows were stuffed with the down, which is the undercoat of waterfowl like swans, geese, and ducks. And they also use the other parts of the bird as well. And this is what creates the combination of feathers and down. Eventually, pillows would come to be stuffed with things like memory foam, which was created by NASA in 1966 to improve air cushions on space flights. And since then, pillows have been made by a wide variety of companies and have been stuffed and designed with all kinds of things. There are even patents on pillows, which most of you may know the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, and by now you probably know him for more than pillows. But he has a patent on his technology for the pillow that involves open cell polyfoam broken into different size pieces. That's pretty interesting. I did not know personally that people were out here patenting pillow technology. I did not know that. When I looked into it, there's a lot of pillow patents out there, and that seems to be the way things are getting done these days. If you have a new idea for a pillow, or I mean, not that you, like I guess you're trying to reinvent the wheel essentially. We've been using the same kind of technology for pillows for the last basically almost 1,000 years, and so if you were going to make something new, you probably would want to patent that. But yeah. That is how pillows happen. And now it's time for the roundup. The roundup. The round. And we're going to round it up. Okay. So we see that the first real use of pillows is around 7000 BC in Mesopotamia, which is current-day Iraq. The Chinese had pillows, although they purposely made them hard, thinking that soft pillows robbed the body of strength. The first soft pillows were used by the Greeks and the Romans, and Europe continued to capitalize on this in the coming centuries. Cotton kicks off the next pillow boom with making it easier to create pillowcases, making them more durable to hold the filling. The filling evolves from straw and feathers to NASA space-age technology and beyond. Things I didn't know before. Okay, so there were a lot of things that I did not know before about pillows, and that I would not have thought that, honestly. Let's see, the first thing I will start with is that in the 15th and 16th century, people put so much work into their beds when they made them that they would put them in their wills. So, like, you loved your bed so much, you'd be like, my nephew's going to get my bed, which is just something that I don't think usually happens these days. Nobody that I've known has died, nobody's ever inquired to what happened with their bed. So I did not know that. Henry VIII banned soft pillows, also I think around the same time, except for the use by pregnant women. He also had the Chinese approach of thinking that it created weakness to have soft pillows. I just thought that was kind of wild, that you could just say, no, unless you're pregnant, you get a hard one. Let's see, what's the next one? Most pillows. This is interesting. I did not really realize this. Most pillows are made in the country that they're used in, and this is because it's a nightmare to try to ship them because, they're so big without actually having any real weight. So you have to have a lot of mass in order to be able to ship them. It takes a lot, and so people usually make them in the country that they sell them in. Some people try to ship them, and they're usually not the greatest pillows. I'm wondering if these are the pillows that come from hotels, because I really hate hotel pillows. But yeah, that was something I would not have known beforehand. Let's see, Betsy Ross, she made the first American flag. She also made mattresses, and that just came along from looking into pillows and mattresses. There's an interesting bed that George Washington used during the Revolutionary War, which I thought was really cool, and I probably post a picture of that. It basically comes out of a trunk. This dude walked around, well, he didn't carry it, but his slave, Billy, I believe his name was Billy, carried his trunk, and when he popped it out, boom, there's a bed, and it's pretty wild looking. Let's see, and this is the last thing which I saw, and this is, that they make pillows that look like butts, big butts, and you can buy them at Walmart for $130, and I will definitely post a picture of that. But that is everything that I did not know before about pillows. All right, that's been another episode of How Did That Happen? I've been your host, Richard Dix. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.